started, so we are live.
Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Life. See.
We are here. Had to make some adjustments to the audio. How you doing today, Carlette?
I'm good.
Let me. I need to switch this over. Hopefully, it does.
I know this sounds funny, but it felt good to finally go grocery shopping.
Okay, you say that one more time.
It felt good to finally go grocery shopping because we've been busy.
Yeah. You bought a lot of groceries.
Good, but I had to restock.
Yeah.
Like had to get cereal back on the shelf.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah,
But I'm a couponer.
That you are.
Digital and paper copy, and I think I'm getting better. Like we saved like $80 in coupons. Yeah, and so I'm getting better and better. It feels good to get. I mean, just an example. Not saying that's how much it was, but to get $300 worth of groceries for $220. That's good. That feels good.
So make sure you shop at Kroger's.
Yes.
So you can get we got $1 off of gas because of Kroger rewards, and that shows you how often
grocery shopping.
My wife shops there. So that being said, I have this large map in front of me that is very interesting to say the least. And here you go, guys and gals. That is a map. So I hope everybody took geography lessons.
I took it and got an A.
You took it and got an A. Yeah, because you have a little hard time with north, east, south, So, if I say go south, you have a.
I did it. I got my A for then.
Yeah.
It didn't last too long.
But this map has a lot of coordinates on it, and it shows a lot of different frequencies, and it looks like just different stuff that you have to decipher. So anyway, this map is going to be very instrumental to my learning.
Okay.
Because this is what is this? This is called it's a VFR terminal area chart scale. So it shows everywhere that there is an airport and how to get there, what frequencies you need to dial in. And now my guest probably can elaborate more on this map, but this is looks like just with a lot of numbers and coordinates and all that kind of stuff on it. But it looks fun to kind of plot out. This is what pilots use to plot out which way they're going to go, I believe, and what frequency to tune in to get to the tower and all that kind of whatnot. But this is what I want to learn. This is the skill set that I want to add to my resume, as my brother-in-law says. I want to earn me a private pilot license. And with that, I'm going to call him my friend now. But I'm going to bring on our guest. His name is Avery Cook. We met him over the weekend, just to give you a little background information. We just dropped by airport in Georgia, and if he wants to elaborate where and when and how and whatever, he can. But we dropped by this, and you know what? Well, let me preface this. I don't know if it's middle age. I don't want to say crisis, but middle age where I just want to learn how to fly a plane. But I don't know. It's just a desire, and it's been strong on me the past couple months. So I've been watching a ton of YouTube videos and learning how to fly a plane, even though I'm probably scared of heights in a little plane. But I don't know. I'm just going to say it what it is. But no, so we dropped by this airport, and I've looked up like several different schools in the area. And we dropped by this one particular school and met this gentleman named Avery Cook. This guy was he was outstanding. The wealth of information he had, not only about planes and being a pilot and what it takes, but his whole demeanor, and I mean, it was just like he was a longtime friend, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, like we've been knowing him for
Talking
a
to Mike.
while. I thought I was.
No, you had it down.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, he showed us around. He showed us different planes and what they stood for and how to, well, not how to fly, but basically, how to fly. I would say that. But this guy, I'm just going to bring him on, and his name is Avery Cook. I want everybody to give Mr. Cook a round of applause. There you go. All right, guys. This is his first time on the podcast ever, so probably just like the first plane that he got in to fly, he's probably a little nervous. So just bear with him.
Yeah, a little bit. So.
A little bit. How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today?
We are fantabulous. Man, I want to, again, for the second time, probably third time, fourth time by now, but I want to appreciate you. And the last minute, we had a friend of mine who could not be on today, and I was trying to reach out. I'm like, who can I get to be on our show tonight? But as always, we found someone named Avery Cook to come on the show. So we want to thank you for the last minute invite and being able to be flexible in your schedule to say yes to the invite, and just let's have a normal conversation just like we did on Saturday, about the art of flying.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for having me. It's kind of interesting and different a little bit to be on a podcast rather than just real life.
Right. No, it's fun, and we've been. This is our third year doing a podcast, and we come on live every Monday. So, guys, if you're watching, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube platform. And we're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. We're about 800 away from that, but
is it that much?
Yeah.
Oh, are you serious?
But we have, but to say,
But we
okay,
have
so,
double that
but
on
yeah, we
Facebook.
have at least about 700 on Facebook. So we're trying to migrate everybody over to YouTube. So Avery, to say the least, what's going on, Bill? My brother-in-law, I wonder will he get in the plane with me and fly somewhere. He might. I don't know. But anyway, Avery, how wanted to talk about let's start off with the desire. So when you fly, you definitely this has to be something that you desire. How important is that desire related to your aptitude or ability to learn how to fly an aircraft?
Yeah, for at least me, the passion is definitely there, and so just being able to go into the plane and be really motivated because that's something that that I want to do and I'm ambitious about. It's kind of a key part to learning. I mean, controlling the things that you can control. And your attitude is one, and just having a desire to do something is like the difference between sitting in like a statistics math class and just sitting here on a podcast night. It's like it's something that you enjoy versus something that you don't enjoy. So I'd say definitely something that would have to be something that is usually kind of like a flying bug. A lot of people enjoy it, and that's how they get involved. So yeah.
Wow. I'm just switching over something right quick. So let's see. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So with that desire, like, for example, my wife says once I get my pilot license that she won't fly with me. So I found that very disheartening, and I was very discouraged by that. However, like when you fly, like a lot of people fear flying because you're up in the air and there's a chance that, I guess with life, everything is a chance, but, of crashing. So, but I was trying to tell her that the statistics of a plane going down versus you having an actual accident in the car are very two extremes. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of logical. If you really think about it, I mean, just to get your like a driver's license, all you really need is like your hours on the road with your parents or something. I mean, and a little bit of Joshua's Law, which I can speak from personal experience, which you can just skip really easily. But with something like flying, it's something to where you train for hours and hours and hours on end. You have to have at least 40 hours, at least, like solo time and all this other different time that, you don't really just acquire on the road. And I mean, even with a private pilot's license, I've seen 40-hour private pilots and I've seen 150-hour private pilots, you have people that are actually certified by the FAA to teach you how to fly the aircraft itself, as well as these people called DPEs that evaluate you at the end of your kind of like right before you get your. It's kind of like the final exam, and they kind of go down and you have a oral conversation like, hey, what is a mode C transponder? When do you need it, kind of deal. And, you also have a flying portion. So, I mean, it tests both your knowledge as well as your flying abilities and capabilities. So on that front, it's a lot safer in the means of how it's, planned, organized, and executed out by the FAA itself.
So the transponder, let me answer that question. Maybe let me see if I'm right after I've been doing a bunch of YouTube stuff. So the transponder is actually the transponder when you, and I hate to say this, when you crash and it sends out that beacon to let the towers know where you are. Is that transponder?
No, that's the ELT, the emergency location transponder.
So the other transponder, is that the transponder when you're up in the air and it lets people? Okay, so I'm failing already, huh?
No, not at all. I mean, we all start somewhere. And so essentially what a transponder is it's a 4-digit code. And it essentially is something that ATC or tower or ground control or like any sort of like air traffic control uses to kind of track you in a way, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's say you have like ATC gives you a specific squawk code of like 3500, for example. You'd put that in your transponder and they'd be able to see, hey, this is that aircraft. He's going from here to here. And so it's just kind of a way to track the means of where you are.
Right. That's the answer that I was trying to give. So besides the training, so I know that the company that you work for and other schools, you have to have 40 hours of, is that what they consider ground hours as well built into that, or is ground hours? And what we mean by ground hours, you all,
a lot more than 40 hours with the instructor, solo time, nighttime, flying. It's essentially just that minimum. While a lot of private pilots, one of those things that the FAA just says like, hey, you need a minimum
there. And if I did it on a part-time basis, doing 3 times a week, dedicate time to getting up in the air and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's very dependent upon weather, upon like work ethic, instructors, So I mean, we wouldn't fly in that. So it's just based off of
when we stopped by, we were talking about I could be wrong. You said that was kind of fun and that you liked it.
Yeah, so I mean, I personally enjoy I'd prefer it to be easy than super difficult, but you have to trust that airplane. You have to trust the avion. Then you not only don't trust the airplane, you won't trust yourself with the skills to be able to fly it, and then you'll get behind the airplane when you want to be ahead of the aircraft.
Would you consider flying a plane an art? Because we entitled this particular podcast in the month of April, we're dedicating to the arts. So would you consider this the art of flying is an art?
I would consider it something different.
Okay.
In a way of, it's not like driving a car when it's on a 2D plane, just left and right. When this is up, down, left, right, pitch, yaw, roll, kind of, yeah. that kind of deal. I mean, it's definitely, I would say it is an art in a way. So
Wow. So what are some of the things that you have to come in when it comes to learning how to fly? What is your mental state have to be like? What are some of the things that you have to know, that you have to, like, for example, you have a 16-year-old who gets a driver's license and they're not serious about it. But with a, I mean, as far as driving, I'm saying, I mean, some students may be, serious about driving a car or what have you, but, it's just, this is something easy to do. But it appears to me that flying is a whole different beast. I mean, this is something like, for example, I've been watching YouTubes, and every time that a pilot goes to fly an airplane, they go through a bunch of checklists. And if you don't meet this, if the checklist is not, if something is missing or something is wrong, you don't fly that plane. So what can you tell us about how do you have to be mentally, in order to fly a plane?
yeah, so I mean, you're totally correct with the checklist thing. We have a lot of checklists, like I'm safe. That's a checklist, and it's essentially just like, are we sick? Are we on any medication? Did we get enough sleep? Are we under the influence of alcohol? That kind of thing. They're just the basic questions of, is it smart? And then we have our aeronautical decision making, our ADM. That's like the weather, is the winds too high? Is it a thunderstorm? What kind of front is coming through? What can we expect with that front? And then we also have our kind of like our pre-flight checks and everything else like that. But I would say if you're learning how to fly, ultimately you have to be very patient, and you have to come in with a willingness to learn and be humble. Because I personally have an issue of I was really cocky when I first started, but I got told really quick. I was like, hey, you have to be humble. You have to be in here to learn, because that's what you're here for. The instructor's not there to babysit. They're here to teach. And so being humble and having the willingness to learn and be able to sit down and be like, okay, I'm wrong. This is the reason why. Here's how I correct it, kind of deal. And just coming in with that mindset makes your training from, like, it saves you money in the long run, because it opens your mind up a little bit in a way of being able to sit down, willingness to learn, and just taking all the information and all the feedback that you can and interpreting it into the next flight or into the next landing, into the next, startup procedure, into the next checklist. You name it, it'll help it.
Have you, how many hours have you gotten under your belt so far?
I can look at my logbook actually. I've got it right here.
And the reason why I asked, have you had your solo flight yet?
I have.
You have. What was that like?
Not gonna lie, it was a little bit nerve-wracking at first, because just the thought of me being in control of the aircraft, and if something was to go wrong, I didn't have my instructor next to me to help save my life. So, but it's kind of like one of those things where you just got to breathe a little bit. You're taxiing out to the runway. You just got to breathe a little bit. Say, I got this. He wouldn't let me solo unless I knew I got it. So, I mean, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but at the end, it was the funnest experience of my life.
So how many solos have you been on?
I've been on a couple so far. I'm about to go on my solo cross country here soon. So.
Oh, wow. Now, is that what they call a 3-point cross country?
So that's one of the requirements, is to have a 3-point 150 nautical mile solo. However, for it to be considered a cross country, it just has to be from one point to another over 50 nautical miles.
Wow. Now, what's the difference between, so our viewers will understand, what's the difference between nautical miles and actual miles that you drive?
So I can get the actual conversion really quick. So a nautical mile is a little bit bigger, I believe, than an actual mile. I think it's like a mile compared to a nautical mile is like 1.1 mile. I'm not totally sure about that. I can look it up really quickly. It is, so 1 mile would get you to, hold on, Google's being very slow. It is not nanometers. What am I doing? So 1 mile is actually a little bit less. So 1 mile is 0.86 nautical miles.
Wow.
So it's a little bit shorter. So you can imagine that a 50-mile cross country would be 57 miles in your car. So it'd be like flying. So it'd be kind of like driving from Cobb International Airport, so the airport that we went to, or that you met me at, and flying to Athens. That'd be a 50 nautical mile.
Okay. Now, when you schedule those flights, and just in general, like, can you just get up one day and say, hey, I'm going to fly to Chattanooga, and get in your plane and fly? Or do you have to have, a lot of times we see commercial pilots, they have a flight plan. So do you have to plan out your flight when you have a private pilot's license? How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, we use a couple different kind of things to help plan for our flight. We don't just get up and go kind of deal. There's always planning beforehand, and so some of that planning is flight planning. You can Google it. It's called a VFR flight plan, and it's essentially
this map
like,
right here.
No, that is a VFR sectional, but that has to do with some of it.
Okay.
Essentially, what you do is that you fill it out like, hey, you put out these references, and you put out different points of interest to kind of keep you guided along, as well as you put the wind correction in there for your actual heading and everything else. And so there's a lot of planning that goes behind it with wind, weather, and all that other stuff, because you don't want to fly solo and it's gusting 20. It's just one of those things. So it takes a lot of planning beforehand.
Wow. So I was also I think I was talking to you, but and just in my head, I know that, like, so for your beginner, it's like a beginner's permit, I guess, but for your private pilot license, you can only fly underneath the clouds. You can't fly in clouds or whatever, but you have to stay underneath the clouds. But in order to go to the next level, you have to get what they call an instrument. What is it called? An instrument certificate, or add on to your license, and that allows you to fly in the clouds without visual, but with instruments.
Right. So a private pilot license essentially just allows you to fly visually, with references to the ground and everything else, while an instrument license allows you to fly in the clouds with your instruments, and then in conditions that are like not very ideal for a private pilot.
Wow. Are you in pursuit of that as well?
I've got a check ride for my private pilot's license scheduled for June 13th. So after I get that, I'm probably going to go pursue the instrument.
Wow. Yeah, I was talking to Carlette about, although she won't fly with me, but she had to step away. But anyway, I was talking to her. I was like, man, it would be cool to, like, say, for example, we want to go to Fort Lauderdale. We can come by, rent. What is going on? I hear some noise. Oh, anyway, we can rent a plane and travel to Fort Lauderdale for a couple days and then come back. So I was thinking the amount of time that it takes to board a commercial airplane, the amount of time that it takes to get your luggage and so forth, you would have been there by the time you get on the plane. I mean, a private plane, and then you don't have to deal with the hassle. You could just go right up to the plane, do all your check, whatever stuff, and then fly on to Fort Lauderdale, and then leave the plane there, rent your car and so forth. But the amount of money that it would actually take for a family of 5, well, 4 right now because my older son is in school, you're looking at about $500 a ticket nowadays. That's $2,000. You could definitely do that, with a private, with renting a plane. It's like going to rent a plane instead of Enterprise rent a car. You rent a plane, but you could definitely do that. I mean, it's going to obviously cost you a little bit extra, but just I think for headache's sake, it's the easier thing to do, and it's your own autonomy that, I mean, what do you say about that?
I definitely say that there's some times to where it'd be more beneficial to fly commercial than just normal general aviation. And a lot of our clients that we have, they fly for business. So they're flying down to Fort Lauderdale or Pensacola or Michigan because they have business up there. And so they'll fly up there to avoid the hassle and stuff of TSA and all that other airport security and stuff like that. However, I would say if you're flying somewhere that's like from here to California, I would 100% say it's more worth it for airlines rather than general aviation.
Okay. Why would so piggyback on that, why would someone be interested in getting a private pilot license?
I would say that it could be interesting, or not interesting, but it could be something to where you build up to something to where you fly commercially, because private pilot is the stepping stone to your instrument, commercial, multi, CFI, CFII, ATP, all of that fancy jazz. So it's kind of the stepping stone for just everything. So if you kind of have a pursuit of being a private pilot or being like an airline pilot, you're 99, I think it's 100% chance that you're going to start as a private pilot.
Yeah. Where is the step where you fly for corporate flying? Is that like one step past instrument, or do you still have to get some more certificates under your belt?
So it really depends with the company. I've got a couple of guys that are flying for Endeavor, flying for SkyWest, which is all separate branches of Delta Airlines. But you really can get it after your commercial. You just have to have the time. So for your commercial, it's 250 hours minimum. But for something like airlines like Delta, United, SkyWest, it's a minimum of 1,500 hours without restricted ATP. And those consist of, I'm not 100% sure of the knowledge, but it's like a mixture of cross-country hours and that sort of thing.
So we're taking a look at some of the planes on let me let's see here. We were taking a look at some of the planes, which this plane is a Cirrus. I was very intrigued about this plane compared to what they call a Cessna 172. And for those of you all that don't know, so the Cessna 172, I'm learning all these plane names and stuff, and Piper 26 and all this, and Archer and Challenger and whatever. But anyway, so the 172 has the wings on top of the plane. And then this particular plane that I just showed has the wings on kind of, and for lack of my ignorance about planes, but on the belly of the plane, more on the lower part. But this plane here, I'm telling you, you said that it was, let me make sure that this is the right picture. Yeah. You said that this was the Porsche of the planes. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. And I 1,000% agree with you that this plane right here, this Cirrus that is worth over $1 million, is the Cadillac, the Porsche of the planes. I sat in that. I thought that I sat in it and I thought I was in a car. I thought that I was in a Porsche. I mean, it was sleek. It had AC. It just was like, oh my God, the back seat, it had 2 back seats. I mean, just the leather interior and everything. This plane, guys, it even had a parachute. So if that doesn't make you feel comfortable, I don't understand what will. So if you're in a spin or something like that, you just pull this lever and a parachute pops out and you land to safety. I mean, Avery, I tell you, I was so impressed when you showed me this. I was like, if I had the money, I would probably buy one right now. I would. Just stroke the check. Huh?
So wouldn't we all?
Yeah. Tell us about that plane. Tell us, like, what? I mean, what is it? I mean, just yes.
Yeah. So that plane specifically is a Cirrus SR-22 turbo. So what it means is it's turbocharged, so it has 2 turbos in it, and it essentially works kind of like your normal car turbo. It kind of sucks the air in, and then it produces it into and to give you more kind of cooling and stuff for the aircraft, and gives you better performance. And a little bit about the 22 turbo. It goes a lot higher than most general aviation aircraft. It goes up to 25,000 feet.
Wow.
And the parachute that Chris was talking about was the Cirrus airframe parachute system, and a lot of Cirrus pilots know it as CAPS. And what that does is essentially there's a little kind of red lever right here. You would pull it down, and then you'd put about 40 to 50 pounds of pressure down, and it would deploy rockets out the side of the aircraft, ripping the side of the aircraft off, the lining of it, so the little blue and white you see on the picture down there. And it would deploy a parachute from the top, and it would bring you, your family, your friends, whomever down to safety.
Do you have any control of where it would land?
I think after the chute deploys, you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
But I would say that, I don't necessarily have full CAPS training, so I couldn't necessarily give you an accurate answer on that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was like, get me in this plane now. Let's go. So, that was real cool. So then they have the Cessna 172, and that is a common, to my understanding, that is a common plane that beginner pilots train off of. And I was excited. I put Evan in it. Let me see. Here's Evan and about to fly off. That's him in the plane. So when you're interested in flying, obviously you have to see if you want to do this, and they have a thing called, all schools have what they call a discovery flight. Tell us more about the discovery flight.
Yeah, so it's specifically for our company. What it is, it's an hour on the ground and then an hour in the air. And so what it does, it essentially just kind of gives you the exposure to general aviation, because it can be vastly different than flying commercial airlines, or even, like a private jet or something like that. It can be drastically different. You're in a smaller aircraft, and, it kind of just exposes you to the experience, rather than, just saying, oh, you have to put this deposit in, all this, that, and the other. So it just kind of lets you discover if that's something that you'd be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It's kind of like the discovery, discovery flight.
When you say, so in this discovery phase flight, will the pilot actually let you fly once you get up in the air? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I know for me, my discovery flight, I went up and we flew over Lake Allatoona. We flew over my house. We got to do a couple turns around my house. They introduced me to a couple of the private pilot maneuvers. So like like steep turns. They also let me do a power on stall, which was pretty fun.
Now, what's a stall? Does the plane actually stall?
So essentially, what a stall is when the aircraft exceeds its critical angle of attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how an airplane generates lift, it's Bernoulli's principle.
Studied that
or,
on YouTube.
Or essentially, the air flows in an area of high pressure and an area of low pressure. And when you exceed that critical angle of attack, it doesn't really flow as well as it doesn't flow as well, or doesn't even flow at all as if you're not exceeding that critical angle of attack. And so essentially, it just slows you down, and then the airplane can't generate enough lift to maintain. And so the controls get real mushy, and then the aircraft will eventually just kind of like, so it'll kind of just nose down a little bit and just regain control of it. So.
Wow. So, guys, what he's trying to say, let me see if I have this right, based on my studies. So this is what they call, let me see if I can get this right. This is your wing, right? And once to create lift, if you look at let me see if I can talk in this. And if you look at a wing, the wing has a bell or a curved part up here, and it's 9 times, and it's flat underneath. So in order to create lift, the air passes over the top part, which creates the lift, and the bottom part is pushing up on the upward underneath the wing. And as you fly, it goes up, and the steeper the wing angle is the angle of, what did you say? Angle of
attack.
Of attack. So once it gets so far up like this, you no longer have lift, and that's where you can stall out. Is that correct in my explanation of that? Somewhat.
For the most part, for the most part, Bernoulli's principle is essentially like NASA's definition of it right here. It says when the force of lift is greater than the force of gravity, the airplane is able to fly because of thrust, the airplane is able to move forward in flight.
Gotcha.
So essentially, imagine, here, I've got a piece of paper right here that I can use.
Just a quick tip, guys. So if you want to be a pilot, he's going to show us.
No, I'm just trying to explain it a little bit. But essentially, this is kind of your wing. So
right. Yep.
Let me get a Sharpie to help make it a little bit better. So if I can do this. So you have an area of high pressure and low pressure.
Right.
And essentially it flows over the wing. And if you look at the end, it's a little bit, it's kind of shallower and, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially what that is essentially when you're essentially splitting air molecules, and then they all want to come back and kind of rejoin. And so that's why it's kind of shallow at the end, because that air has to catch up. And so it's kind of, I'm not a CFI, so
no, I got you. I just was joking around, but it's
no,
I just failed that part of the test, so and trying to explain. So no, it's cool. No,
I don't want to give you any sort of false information.
No, I got you. I feel you, Avery. But no, this is fun.
Yeah, it's fun for me too. So you kind of tested my knowledge a little bit,
right? So. No, I just I was talking to my wife too. I'm like, man, is this middle-age crisis that I'm going through? Because I want to learn how to fly a plane, and I talked to a lot of people, and it's like, no, this is it's normal to want to learn how to fly, and I kind of regret it. Back in hey Carol, that's one of our favorite people that just joined us online. But Carol, Terrell and I are gonna go fly a plane. I'm not sure if we mentioned that on his show, but we're going to go fly a plane. And I have a good friend, a good guy that I just met this weekend, Avery Cook. He works for a school in here in outside of Atlanta, and he's just going over, you know, what it takes to get your private pilot license. But I was talking to my wife and you know, just about, you know, is this a middle-age crisis? And, you know, no, I mean, it's real. It's like, man, as much as I'm fearful, like, and I'm not too fearful when I get in a commercial plane, but when that turbulence hits, I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, help us, you know, send angels. Lord, put angels around these wings and stabilize. But I think, you know, growing up, I had an opportunity to go to the Air Force Academy. And because I was, you know, young and really, I didn't give it my all like I should have. And, you know, hindsight, I wish I would have gone. Because I would have been a fighter plane pilot by now, you know, whatever. Because I'm fascinated, not to say that, you know, I've been looking at all these different type of planes, but I've always wanted to fly a fighter plane, you know. And I just think that this phase of my life is really taking me in a different direction, you know, to want to fly a plane, want to, you know, eventually maybe own a plane so that I can just travel whenever I want to, you know, map out my flight plan, where I'm going, and get in the plane and go. Although I'll probably be just me and my oldest son because my wife doesn't want to go. I mean, you know, she's scared. She's scared of my driving, I guess, too. But, you know, so I think that this part of my life is like really, you know, adventurous, you know, to say the least, and really wanting to learn how to fly. You know, I work full time, so, you know, so I'll have to do this in between my job schedule, you know, on the weekends or at night, you know. And what would you say to someone that is working part-time, I mean, working full-time, but they also want to be a pilot? What would you say to that?
Honestly, I mean, I'm working full time, but I mean, it's obviously at the airport, but I'd say pursue it with everything you have. Because I mean, if you have like a flying bug, then it just doesn't go away magically. I mean, you know, it lingers around. And so the constant, oh, I want to fly, you know, this would be cool. I want to go fly. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's go fly, you know. It'll take you for your life, essentially. You know, it's an experience like no other to be able to control the aircraft. And, you know, if wherever you go for a discovery flight, I think you'll notice that. Yeah. You know, it's a lot different than, you know, driving a car. You know, while you sit in a car for the first one, it's like, oh, you know, this is a car. It is like super nice. Right. When you're in an airplane, you have a completely different thought process of, you know, I instead of looking out for this car and that car, you know, I'm looking out for, you know, all this different kind of stuff, and I'm being proactive about it. And, you know, I think that if you have that bug to fly, I think you should pursue it, you know, ultimately.
Wow. Carol said she's scared of flying or scared because I'm the pilot. Carolyn, she's scared. She's not scared of flying. She's scared because I'll be the pilot. I'll be the pilot in control. I will have the sticks to control the airplane and the throttle and the other buttons to control. You know what? One thing that you showed me on that one plane, I keep going back to it though, to the Cirrus, is the ability for that plane to map out its own course or to get the tower frequencies and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I have so many other questions. I know it's getting late.
I mean, ask away. I mean, I got plenty of time.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing going on at 10 o'clock at night. So
right. So, when I take this discovery flight, you said I think you said I could bring like GoPros, and a friend, my friend Terrell wants to come. Man, I can't wait to do it. But this is something that I want to document. As far as my journey to obtaining my private pilot's license. And like once you get to that commercial level, what is the salary? Like, I've heard that the salary could be definitely upwards of six figures.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just with a discovery flight, I know that our company, we are like, yeah, you can use cameras and stuff like that, but another flight school might not allow that. So, it's something that you're going to have to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, with commercial, there are some pilots making up to $700,000 a year.
Are you serious?
I'm being completely serious on that. It is a career to where the requirements are going down and the pay is going up. So ultimately, it's a career to look into 100%.
And on top of that, as far as you don't work every day, right?
It depends.
Oh.
I know for like certified flight instructors, if that's something a route that you want to go with, then you'd be working a decent bit. But airline pilots, it just depends on their schedule. I can't really speak for somebody like Delta United on what their work schedule looks like. So,
and we talked about too, like flight simulators. So I've been interested in getting the Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I'm a Mac guy, so I'm not a PC guy. So it's hard for me to get. I would have to build me a computer, or and get the flight simulator software and all that. But like, is that a way for someone to really determine if they want to learn how to fly too, or is that just for fun?
It can definitely help a little bit, but I would say that a true kind of way to experience it is actually by going out and flying.
Gotcha.
That discovery flight, that introductory flight, I feel like that is the way to go. Now, when it comes to your actual training, a flight simulator could help you drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Like you having, like, for example, like a honeycomb yoke or something like that. That's, that can help you out a little bit with your stick and rudder skills. And, just being able to practice those maneuvers that you wouldn't be able to practice like every single day in an aircraft. Mm-hmm. Anything is better than nothing ultimately.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see if I can do this right quick. I don't think I can. Am I on the same? I think I am, but I don't know why it's not coming up. I thought I could, but maybe not on this. Oh, you know what? I can't. But anyway, Avery, look what I got on my iPad. Hold on, I got to show you this. I got to put on my glasses because I've done something. Okay. All right, so I'm about to fly a Cessna 172. Let me see. On my iPad. So I just click on Fly Now, and it's loading up the software. I forgot what this is called, what software this is. But it gives you all the cool sound effects. Where's my volume control at right here? All right, it's loading up. Give me 1 second, Avery. All
yeah,
right.
no problem.
Tap screen to calibrate and start. There we go. I'm at the terminal right there. Then I got my parking brakes off. I'm going to turn my parking brakes. Let me see if I can do it like this. There we go. So then I'm going to give it full power. Uh-oh, the parking brakes on. I don't know why it put me in the terminal, but I'm about to crash into the terminal. But anyway, yeah, so I've been looking at that too. Just trying to learn how to fly a plane. So, but that's cool. Any other last minute thoughts? Any other last minute ideas, conversations that you would like to share with our audience?
Um, Ultimately, I would say if you do have an interest for flying, I guess, at least for me, I'm not sure if any other people have this as well, but kind of having the trouble of the first steps. Where do I begin? It's a big leap. It's a big kind of step. It's like being thrown into the deep end of a pool. Um, it's a big step, and so I would 100% say that, starting out, I would 100% just go to your local flight school. Go to your local flight school, get some information, and then schedule an intro flight or a discovery flight. That's ultimately the first step into getting inside of the door. And then after that, I would kind of decide, like, hey, is this something that is worthwhile? Is this something that I would enjoy? Is this something that I can see myself truly pursuing? And it's a big dedication. I know for me, it's taken my life on a path that I never really thought it would. And so it's ultimately a big step. And so the first step, just go into at your flight schools, seeing like what information you can gather, how much it costs for like an intro flight, how much it costs for the actual school itself, and then just making a rational decision off of that. Don't always go with your first flight school, because the first flight school is ultimately going to be, one that you take a big look at, because it's your first one. You don't know, what the quality of the other flight schools are, what the instructors are like, or anything else like that. So take a look around different airports, different flight schools, and then to book that introductory flight if you want to start.
Good. What is your ultimate goal?
Honestly, I think I want to fly for the Navy.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I think I'm going to get my certified flight instructor, and then get my college degree, and then from there, go into the Navy as an officer, and then go through pilot training.
Really? That is so cool. That is cool. I had my neighbor went to the Navy, and my
Really?
dad.
Awesome.
Yeah, my dad. He was actually he got an honorable discharge from both the Army and the Navy.
Really? Why was that?
Yeah, you know what? He never told. I know he was boxing. So it might have been an injury or something.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, so somebody's from Florida is calling. But yeah, so yeah, man, I commend you, man, even the more. Yeah, so man, I commend you, and I thank you for being on the show at the last minute. And what I'll do is I'll call you after the show, and then I'll just call you to say thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I understand that things happen, and I'm glad I can be a part of it. I'm glad you can have me.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, sir. No problem.
All right, take it easy.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Wow, guys, that was a great show. That was a great show. I'm becoming a pilot, guys. It's going to be me and the air and my oldest son, because my younger son and daughter and my wife, they do not want to fly with me. I feel some kind of way. I really do. I feel some kind of way that my family, except for my oldest son, they don't want to fly with me. See, like, we could go to Fort Lauderdale and just hang out, chill, go visit my cousin for the day, and then fly back for all $2,500, just something crazy like that. I mean, just to rent a plane. And then thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. That's what I want to do back there. I want to get behind those I don't know if they call it a steering wheel or whatever, but I'm learning. But I want to fly a plane. I think, Carolyn, you might agree with me too. But at some point, I might need a plane to get up out of here. Take my family. Hey, we going over the border, because it might get a little crazy around here. But hey, I want to thank you. Carlette had to go deal with some children issues, as well as she wasn't feeling that great. So keep her in your prayers. And then this little one here, she always wants to be in the show. She always wants to come on the Chris and Carlette live show. Maybe I might call this the Chris, Carlette, and Chloe show. Maybe we rebrand it. How about that? Are you going to say hi?
Hello.
Hello. She's getting ready for bed. This is my my little angel, my Cuddles. We call her Cuddles now because she always wants to cuddle and then she goes to sleep. So she's that spoiled where she wants to cuddle all the time. Give me a kiss. Mwah. I love you. Love you too. All right, guys. Oh, you got some hair in my mouth. Oh, look, you got hair all over the microphone. Oh my God, what the? Oh my God, where did all this hair come from, Chloe? Where did it come from? Where? Yes, Chloe can. Miss Carol said you can have your own show. How about that? You don't want your own show? You just want to bombard my show and come on my show and interrupt everybody. Y'all, I washed her hair the other day and braided it. No, your mom braided it, but I washed it, took the braids out. Yeah. How was your day today at school? What did you eat? You got food all around your mouth.
I ate
Ham?
and ice cream and crackers.
And crackers? Now, you're not a baby, so you have to talk like you're a 6-year-old, like you just turned 6, like a big girl, okay?
Okay.
All right. What you going to close out the show for us?
No.
No? What the? You're not going to close out the show? You're just going to hit me in the head with your hair. All right, y'all. You know what? We're going to end this program. We're going to end this episode of the Chris and Carlette live show. Big thanks, big shout out to Avery Cook. You can catch him at a school near you up north of Kennesaw, I should say, if you want to reach out to him, if you're interested, or if you want to reach out to him, just, oh Lord, this guy, he's $1 late, a day. What is that saying? A day short. I forget. Anyway, he's just now joining us. His name is V. Terrell Hill. And I don't understand why he is he did have something to do but wait, it's 9:00 and he's just now joining the show. I don't understand, Terrell. If you want to go flying with me, look, we may be setting something up for this Saturday to go flying. So I need you pretty much from sun up to probably about 1:00. That means that you have to be here. I guess I'm gonna probably have to come pick you up like at about be great. Yeah, I might have to pick you up at like 7:30 because we're gonna I'm gonna try to get something scheduled with to go and get in this airplane and yeah, Carol, don't take up for that Negro. Don't take up for him. He should have been on the show. At least had it on his phone. But anyway, the show is over, Terrell, so you can catch the replay. So we're going to try to see if we can do a discovery flight this Friday, this Saturday, and at some school. So might have to go up to Kennesaw or just someplace. But I'm definitely going to schedule my discovery flight and get up in this sky and see make it do what it do. We're gonna drop some bombs on. No, I'm just. Oh, we might fly over my house. Might fly over Terrell's house. We might even go fly to Carol. No, that's too far. But hey guys, make sure you pray as Carlette always ends the show. It's a lot of stuff going on. There was just another mass shooting in Alabama. There was some shooting. A young guy got killed, or not killed. He's still living, but by someone just going to the wrong house. So make sure you all just pray. Make sure you call on the name of the Lord. He is our strength. He is our provider, and he will direct our path if we acknowledge him. So, guys, I want to say thank you all. Thank you, Avery, if you're still watching via YouTube. Thank you for sharing with us. And until next time, we're talking about the arts. Peace.
Thanks for joining us this week on Chris and Carlette Live. Make sure to visit our website, chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our show. You may also find us on Apple Podcast, where you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Let us stay in contact with you by texting CNC Live to 474747. That's CNC Live to 474747.